Hi everyone, welcome back to my class. Students, this session is the continuation of the lesson Reaching the Age of Adolescence. In the previous class, you all have learnt about secondary sexual characters that are seen both in the male as well as female. Correct? So now in this session, let us understand how do the hormones initiates the reproductive functions. You know what are hormones, correct? Hormones are called as chemical messengers. ಹೌದಲ್ವಾ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಮೆಸೆಂಜರ್ಸ್. Why do we call it as chemical messengers? Because it carries the signals from one place to another place in our body. Hormones will carry the messages, it carries the signals from one part of the body to another part. Clear? So now let us understand how these hormones will initiate the reproductive function in both the male as well as female. If you look at this picture, it denotes all the important endocrine glands which is present in both the male as well as the female. Here you can see the pituitary gland, thyroid gland, correct? Pancreas, adrenal gland, ovaries, testes. So I hope you all have remembered I said about pituitary gland in the previous class. What is meant by pituitary gland? Pituitary gland is called as the master gland. Pituitary gland is called as the master gland. Why? Because see, it will master all the other glands which are present in our body. So it will send the signals for all the other glands which is present in our body. Hence, pituitary gland is called as the master gland. Clear? See, if you look at this image is representing both the male as well as the female endocrine glands which is present in them. And if you look at this picture, only one endocrine gland which is present differently in both the male as well as the female. Which is that endocrine gland? See, the testis in the male and the ovaries which is present in the female. So these are the different endocrine glands which is present in the body of the male and female. So ovaries does not present in the male. Testis, it is not present in the female. Okay, so ovaries present in the female, testis present in the male. So these are the two different endocrine glands which is present only in the male as well as the female. So now we will understand how exactly the hormones will initiate the reproductive functions. Okay, so that means how exactly the hormones will help in the production of the sperms in the testis and the eggs which are present in the ovaries. How exactly these hormones will initiate by these organs which are present in both the male as well as female. Okay? And these organs, it will also initiate the appearance of secondary sexual characters. I hope you all have remembered about the secondary sexual characters. I have clearly explained you this in the previous sessions. If you want, you can open the previous session link. I will put it in the description box below and watch the video again. So these organs, it will help in the development of secondary sexual characters. Okay. See, apart from initiating the hormones, it will also help in initiating the secondary sexual characters. Appearance of secondary sexual characters is because of release of the hormones from these specific organs. Clear? So now, first of all, what you have to understand is if these organs, if they have to release the hormones, so it will be mastered by one of the gland. The first role is played by the master gland. So which is our master gland? The master gland is called as the pituitary gland. Clear? So the pituitary gland, which is called as the master gland, it stimulates the testis and it also stimulates the ovaries. I will repeat once again. See, the pituitary gland, which is called as the master gland. So this pituitary gland, it will stimulate the testis and it will also stimulate the ovaries. So now, how these pituitary glands stimulate the organs? You all have come to know that pituitary gland will help in stimulating the testis as well as ovaries. So then how is this possible? How is this pituitary gland is helping to stimulate these organs? See, there are certain hormones which get secreted by the pituitary gland. So this pituitary gland, it secretes certain hormones, and those hormones which are being secreted by the pituitary gland, in turn they send the signal to the testis as well as to the ovaries. Hormones which are being secreted by the pituitary gland, okay, they will send the signals to the testis as well as to the ovaries. I hope now you got an idea why I called it as hormones. So what are hormones? They are the chemical messengers. So what do these chemical messengers do? They will transfer the messages from one part of the body to another. So now the pituitary gland secrete the hormone, and these hormones will transfer from this part of the body to this part of the body. So one part of the body to another part of the body. Hence it is called as the chemical messengers. Clear? So the pituitary gland, they want to send the messages to the testis, so that what happens? The testis, it start to secrete the hormone called as testosterone. So it secretes testosterone. Very important. So when the pituitary gland, it sends the messages, it sends the signals through the hormones, it secretes the hormone. Which secretes the hormone? The testis, it secretes the hormone called as testosterone. Clear? So then who will send the signals or who will send the message to the testis? You all came to know that pituitary gland releases the hormone, correct? And that will reach to the testis, and testis releases the testosterone. So who will send that message? Who will communicate? So that is done by a hormone called as stimulating hormone. Very important, stimulating hormone. Okay. So this stimulating hormone, it is released by the pituitary gland. Which hormone is released by the pituitary gland? Stimulating hormone is released by the pituitary gland, and this hormone, it will send the message to the testis. Pituitary gland, it releases the stimulating hormone, and this stimulating hormone, so this stimulating hormone which is released by the pituitary gland, it will send the message, it will send the signals to the testis, and thereby the testis, it releases a hormone called as testosterone. Clear? Similarly, this pituitary gland, it releases the follicle stimulating hormone. So in the case of females, I'm talking now about the females. See, in the case of females, this pituitary gland, it releases the follicle stimulating hormone, and this follicle stimulating hormone, it sends the signals to the ovaries. Follicle stimulating hormone, it sends the signals to the ovaries, thereby the ovaries, it releases the hormone called as estrogen. What is the hormone released by the ovary? Ovary releases a hormone called as estrogen. So which is the hormone released by the testis? Testis releases the testosterone. It releases the testosterone. Okay? Whereas ovary releases the estrogen. Clear? So what exactly happened here? Pituitary gland is called as the master gland. So this gland will stimulate both the testes as well as ovaries. So it is stimulating these organs with the help of a hormone called as stimulating hormone. So this stimulating hormone in the case of male, so it will send the signals to the testis. So testis releases the testosterone. In the case of female, pituitary gland, it releases the follicle stimulating hormone. Thereby, this follicle stimulating hormone send the signals to the ovaries. Ovaries releases the hormone called as estrogen. Clear? So testis and ovaries, now they got stimulated. Clear? So as you all have understood now, testis releases testosterone and ovaries releases the estrogen. Both the testosterone and the estrogen from the female, they will enter to the blood. Very important. So they will enter to the blood, because you know we are talking about the endocrine gland, correct? Now we are talking about the endocrine gland. All the endocrine glands, so they will add their secretions into the blood. Correct? Endocrine gland, they will secrete the hormones directly into the blood. Now through the blood, it reaches the specific target organs. The hormones which are being released by the endocrine glands will add their secretions directly to the blood, and through the blood it reaches the specific target organs. So now the question is, what happens to the testosterone released by the testes and estrogen which is released by the ovaries? What will happen? As I told you, it will reach to the specific target organs. That means the area where the changes need to be done. So, which all the areas which the changes has to be taken place with the help of the hormones released by the testes and ovaries. So, these hormones will reach to the specific target organs. Clear? So now let us understand what are the changes that takes place when the estrogen is secreted by the female reproductive organ and the testosterone when it is secreted by the male reproductive organ. So this picture is the female reproductive organ, and this picture it is representing the male reproductive organ. Clear? See, when the estrogen is secreted by the ovaries, where are the ovaries? You can see this is the ovary. There are two ovaries which are present in the female reproductive organ, and when these ovaries, when they secrete the estrogen, okay, it helps in the enlargement of breast. Okay, and it also causes the development of hair under the genital area and under the armpits. And when this estrogen is secreted by the ovaries, there is start of menstrual cycle. I'm writing in a short form. So MC stands for menstrual cycle. So all these changes takes place when the estrogen start secreting from the ovaries. Clear? Its site. So whichever the site may be, when it reaches to the breast area, it helps in the enlargement of the breast. So when it reaches to the armpits area, it helps in the development of the hair under the armpits. Correct. So all these changes takes place when the estrogen is secreted by the ovaries. Clear? And all these changes, they are seen when the girl enter to her puberty. You all have understood what is puberty and what is adolescence. Correct? So when the estrogen is secreted by the ovaries, and this estrogen will reach to the specific targeted organs. That means it will reach to the different organs of your body. And when it reaches to your different organs of the body, it will help in developing certain characters. As I told you, the enlargement of the breast area, hip area, growth of hair, appearance of pimples, menstrual cycle, all these are some of the examples. Clear? So similarly, in the case of the male, the testis, so this is the testis, you can observe this part is called as the testis. So the testis, it releases the hormone called as testosterone, correct? Testis releases the hormone called as testosterone, and this testosterone also, it will reach to the different part of the male body. As a result of this, what happened? There are certain changes which takes place. When testosterone reaches to the specific targeted sites, for example, when it reaches to the face, so what happened? There is growth of hair on the face, growth and then development of mustache on the face. There is widening of the breast area, then voice box cracks. All these are some of the changes that takes place when the testosterone reaches to the different parts of the body. Clear? So this is how the hormones will initiate the secondary sexual characters. So now how the hormones will initiate the primary reproductive organs? So now you have understood about the secondary sexual characters. So now let us understand about the primary things. Okay. So how these hormones, estrogen and the testosterone, how they will help in primary reproductive organs. As I said, when the ovaries and the testes, when they got stimulated, one thing that they are secreted for releasing the male hormone as well as the female hormone. Correct? And also they help in releasing the male and the female sex cells. Apart from the hormone, when I say hormone, estrogen and testosterone. See, apart from the hormones released by the ovaries and the testes, these ovaries and testes, they also help in releasing the male. Here in the case of male, they releases the male sex cells, and in the case of female, it releases the female sex cells. Okay, so that means gametes. When I say sex cells are nothing but the gametes. So during the stimulation of ova, so this ovary, it releases the ova. Ova is nothing but the eggs. There are eggs which are present in the ovary, and these eggs or the ova that is being released by the ovary. So when does this ova get released? When ova get matured inside the ovary. Inside the ovary, the ova has to mature. So once the ova get matured, it is been released by these ovaries. Clear? And one more important thing which you all have to understand here. See this ova which is called as eggs. So these eggs are present in the female when she was a small child. When she was a small child itself, these eggs will be present inside the ovary. But they get matured. These ova which is present in the ovary, they get matured when they enter to the puberty. When they enter to the adolescent age. So the ova, it get matured and it enter to this region. Which is this region? This region is called as fallopian tube. Clear? So after the maturation of the egg or the ova, it will reach to the fallopian tube. And every month one egg will be released. Only one ova is being released by the ovaries every month. See, you can see there are so many eggs which are present in the ovary. See, amongst these only one egg will be released every month and it will enter to the fallopian tube. And this process we call it as ovulation. This process we call it as ovulation. Okay, every month only one egg will be released by the ovary and it reaches the fallopian tube, and this process of maturation of egg we call it as ovulation. And this ovulation, it starts when they reaches the adolescent age. Similarly, there are so many sperms which are present in the testes. So these sperms, they also get matured when the male enter to the adolescent age. And when the penis gets stimulated, this sperms, they enter like this and they come out of the penis. They discharge out of the penis. Clear? So this is how the reproductive functions are initiated by the hormones. So one main thing which you have understood is pituitary gland stimulate testes and ovaries. To stimulate this testes and ovaries, pituitary gland stimulate the stimulating hormone. It releases the stimulating hormone. So it releases the stimulating hormone, correct? So in the case of male, it releases the stimulating hormone, so that what happened? So there is release of testosterone, and in the case of female, it releases the follicle stimulating hormone, so that there is release of estrogen. Correct? So what are the hormones secreted by the testes? Testes secrete the testosterone, and this testosterone, after the secretion, it will directly enter to the blood, and then it reaches the specific target organs. Clear? Then ovaries, it secretes the estrogen, and this estrogen also it will enter to the blood, and then it reaches the specific target organs. You know, right, why it reaches the specific targeted organs? Because see, in the case of female, when the estrogen reaches the specific target organs, there is enlargement of breast, enlargement of the hip region, correct? Appearance of pimples. See, all the thing is, it will help in development of secondary sexual characters. Clear? See, apart from these hormones, testis releases the sperms. Testis, it releases the sperms. Ovaries, it releases the eggs, which is also called as ova. Clear? So these are the most important things which you have to understand. So when the hormones releases, where do it reach? It reaches the specific targeted site. Correct? See, as a result of this, we can see changes in both the male and female when they enter to the puberty. Clear? I hope you have clearly understood about the reproductive functions and how these reproductive functions are initiated by the hormones. So in the next session, I'll be teaching you How is the sex of the baby determined? Okay, that's all for this session. I'm signing off. Thank you.